Good evening and welcome to California Today. I'm Bill Thomas, and here's a preview of some of today's top stories. There's a new contender in the 2024 presidential race. Talk show host Larry Elder just announced his bid for the GOP nomination. California is full on water. Officials say the winter storms have completely refilled state reservoirs for the first time in over a decade. And nearly 500 cities across the state are joining together to demand more money for homelessness projects. But the governor's office says they've already increased the budget to address the issue. Up first, Republicans have a new contender in the 2024 presidential race. Popular talk show host Larry Elder announced his bid for the GOP nomination yesterday. Here's what Elder had to say on Fox News with Tucker Carlson.
I feel I have a moral, a religious, and a patriotic duty to give back to a country that's been so good to my family and to me, and that is why I'm doing this, Tucker.
Larry Elder told Tucker Carlson on Fox News Thursday that he believes crime and border security are top issues to focus on in his campaign. But other than that, he also wanted to highlight two other issues.
There are a couple of things that I think our side does not spend enough time talking about, and that is the lie, the absolute disgraceful lie that the Democrats put on everything, which is that America is systemically racist. It isn't just a lie, Tucker. It's having real consequences. The police are pulling back. It's called the Ferguson effect or the George Floyd effect.
The second issue Elder wanted to highlight is the absence of fathers in American families. Elder said he believes it's a major factor behind the high crime rates plaguing cities like Chicago.
The answer is the welfare state. We've incentivized women to marry the government. We've incentivized men to abandon their financial and moral responsibility. And if I do nothing else in this race but focus people on those two issues, I would have performed a service to my country.
Elder is joining a crowded field of Republican candidates for president. So far, former President Trump, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, and entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy are officially in the race. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is believed to be a potential candidate. The governor has been touring the country in recent weeks. His latest move is speaking at a conservative event in National Harbor, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C. on Friday.
Florida is the state where our shared ideas and values actually become political reality. In D.C., big conservative victories are few and far between. In Florida, we deliver big victories every single day.
Republican Senator Tim Scott, former Vice President Mike Pence, New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie are also considered potential candidates. On the Democrat side, the field is less crowded. So far, only Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and author Marianne Williamson have announced their bids. Reporting by Allison Lee, NTD News.
Former Los Angeles Mayor Richard Riordan passed away in his home on Wednesday evening. He's credited with getting the city back on track after the 1992 riots and the Northridge earthquake. He was the last Republican to hold the position. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass said in a statement, quote, "Mayor Richard Riordan loved Los Angeles and devoted so much of himself to bettering our city. In the wake of the Northridge earthquake, Mayor Riordan set the standard for emergency action." The Los Angeles Police Department released a statement saying, quote, "We say goodbye to a true leader and champion for the people of Los Angeles. He worked tirelessly to improve education, transportation, and public safety. A cause of death has not yet been released." Thanks to the winter storms, water officials now say California is able to provide cities and farms with all the water they need, and this is the first time that's happened in over a decade. Now, on top of that, over 60% of the state is now drought-free.
Regulators announced on Thursday that California can provide 100% of the water requested by cities and farms for the first time in years. This is all thanks to winter storms that filled reservoirs and runoff from a record snowpack. The Department of Water Resources said the State Water Project will provide full allocations to 29 water agencies, supplying about 27 million customers and 750,000 acres of farmland. As late as March, the agency was only expecting to provide 75% of requested water supplies. The last time the state agency fully met water requests was in 2006. Meanwhile, the Federal Bureau of Reclamation announced it was increasing water allocations for the Central Valley Project to 100% for the first time since 2017. According to an interim general manager of a Central California water agency, following 2 years of zero allocations, this water supply will assist growers in Westlands with putting the land to work to grow the food that feeds the world. The Department of Water Resources said the statewide reservoir storage on Thursday was at 105% of average so far. The runoff from the melting snow will supply additional water that the state agency said it is working to capture. According to the U.S. Drought Monitor, as of this week, more than 65% of California no longer has drought conditions.
Statewide, nearly 500 cities are calling on California's governor to allocate $3 billion annually to combat the homelessness crisis. Right now, there are approximately 172,000 homeless people throughout the state.
The League of California Cities represents nearly 500 cities across the state, gathered in Sacramento last week to demand that Governor Gavin Newsom allocate $3 billion annually for cities to use to combat homelessness. During the April 12th press conference, Carolyn Coleman, CEO of the League, says,
"The state's affordable housing crisis and homelessness crisis is worsening by the minute here in California. 7 in 10 Californians view housing affordability and homelessness as the top challenges facing our state."
According to Coleman, funds would additionally go toward addressing mental health issues and building more affordable housing across the state. San Luis Obispo Mayor Erica Stewart also stressed the need for continuous funding.
Our storm responses highlighted also the need for a source of permanent, ongoing, stable funding from the state.
In response to the League's request, a spokesperson for Newsom's office told the Epoch Times that it has increased homelessness funding from $500 million to over $20 billion, which is the most financial support ever given to local governments to address this issue. But the League argues that the governor has not distributed this money consistently. And according to a recent survey from the League, 84% of the cities have implemented programs to deal with homelessness themselves, but 87% expressed fiscal concerns to keep the programs going long-term. Earlier this month, state officials agreed to audit California's homeless spending to determine whether funds have been used effectively to address homelessness over the last 3 years.
A large number of San Diego police officers have left the force since 2020. So recently, the city's police department sent out a letter to former officers asking them to return with incentives of salary increases and no more COVID vaccine mandates. But experts believe these are not the main reasons for the exodus.
On April 3rd, a letter was sent to former San Diego police officers asking them to return to the team. It promises a 5% pay increase and no more COVID vaccine mandate. Since July 2020, the San Diego Police Department has lost over 500 officers. But Paul Capitelli, a retired Sheriff's Department captain and police practices expert, told NBC 7 News that sending out letters like these is a band-aid approach that doesn't address the underlying problems. He said, quote, "You need to reach out to the people who left the profession and ask them why they left and what conditions would change to entice them to come back." Capitelli believes that today, high-profile incidents like the killing of George Floyd changed the way many people view police officers, and it's made the job even harder. He added that police officers cannot do their job effectively if they do not have support from the community and from elected officials. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Police Department has lost nearly 1,000 officers.
We'll take a short break now, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. A recent study shows that any child can learn to read if taught right. The key factor is teaching quality. A Southern California company uses clothing recycling as a form of rehabilitation. A former gang member tells us how the program helped turn his life around. And more wildflowers are blooming across the state. The winter storms paired with now warmer weather is bringing carpets of wildflowers to Southern California's hillsides. Those stories and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, Bill Thomas. A recent study shows that regardless of demographics and resources, all third graders can learn how to read if taught right. The study says that teaching quality is the key to student success and reading proficiency.
Literacy advocacy group California Reading Coalition examined 285 school districts across the state and concluded in its 2022 study that, quote, any district can succeed at teaching reading. According to the report, only about a quarter of low-income Latino third graders read and write at grade level. But researchers say they noticed a significant improvement in several lowest-performing schools as the school districts focused on reading and instruction. The study also found that top-performing districts come in all types, urban, rural, and suburban, across 9 different counties. The report says the clear message is that it is not the students themselves or the level of resources that drive student reading achievement. The primary drivers are district focus on reading, management practices, and curriculum and instruction choices. Palo Alto Unified was one of the lowest performers in 2019, but students' reading scores improved by 9 percentage points by 2022. Latino students make up the largest group in California at 43%. According to researchers, third grade reading level is widely recognized as a critical milestone for future student success.
A California lawmaker recently revised a bill that would have eliminated tobacco sales over time. Instead, the amended measure will now allow the Department of Health and the Attorney General to enforce a newly enacted law which bans flavored tobacco.
Assembly Bill 935, authored by Democratic Assemblyman Damon Connolly, would have eliminated tobacco sales over time. But a new amendment added a measure that will instead close a loophole in the state's flavored tobacco ban. The amended bill will authorize the California Department of Health and the Attorney General to enforce the flavored tobacco ban. In 2022, 63% of voters supported Proposition 31, which banned the sale of flavored tobacco. The state currently prohibits selling tobacco to anyone under 21, which would remain the same under AB 935. According to an April 7th statement, Connolly says, quote, we are disappointed we will not be continuing with the phased-out tobacco sales ban this year. Flavored tobacco products continue to be sold in many stores across the state. The existing loophole allows teenagers to continue accessing these dangerous products and undermines the intent of the law. The bill now heads to the Assembly's Governmental Organization Committee and then to the Appropriations Committee.
For decades, a company in Los Angeles has been helping former inmates resume life after prison. A former gang member shares his story and how the company is giving him a second chance at life.
Hector Verdugo comes from generational gangs and grew up around alcohol and violence, but he has managed to break the cycle with some help from Homeboy Industries.
You know, I came to Homeboy Industries 17 years ago, and I look at my family now, and I'm like, this is unbelievable. My mom's sober, my brothers, my kids are non-gang members. I come from generational gangs, grandfather, father, myself, and this stopped everything, and I thank God for that. I say Homeboy Industries is a miracle factory.
The company focuses on gang intervention, rehabilitation, and helping former inmates re-enter life after prison. And now it's expanding with Homeboy Threads, which recycles clothing. The goal is to keep textiles and apparel out of landfills, while simultaneously providing jobs for the formerly incarcerated or gang-affiliated.
We got to help these young people who are killing each other, selling drugs and everything. So in the beginning, it was all about jobs. We had these jobs, not jails, and nothing can stop a bullet like a job. But then we started to realize that jobs is not the answer. Healing is the answer. And so from that, we started having all these certain classes that we have to heal the traumas that brothers and sisters come in with and join gangs in the first place.
Chanalisa Serra oversees operations at a Homeboy Threads warehouse and can't believe how much her life has changed.
On a personal level, it has made me a better person, opened my mind to know that I can do more than just, gang-involved things or street life. I now do data entry, I run the forklift, I supervise, like who would ever thought I would have been a supervisor. They help you with your feelings. They help you get intuitive with everything around you and close all those broken pieces that you have.
Pallets filled with clothes, textiles, and fabric scraps arrive daily at the 20,000 square foot warehouse, where they are separated and sorted for recycling.
So all of those different things can come in, and often they're all mixed together in these Gaylord boxes or on pallets or in sacks. And the first thing that we're going to do is open them up, go through it all, and kind of create order out of that chaos and figure out what's used, what can be reused, what can be repaired, and what needs to ultimately be recycled and have the materials recovered.
According to Closing the Loop, increasing fashion circulatory in California in 2021, Californians purchased and wore 780,000 tons of apparel, but only 1% of materials worn today will be used for future clothing.
It's important because it gives certain people who have those barriers for employment to not only help the environment, but to also progress in their employment and learning new trade skills and different things about the fibers, different things about the landfills, just about the environment in total, and just give people a second chance.
Homeboy Threads is looking to help global apparel companies bridge the gap between sustainability and environmental health.
The heavy rain in California this year has been a burden for some, with flooding in many areas. But the drought-ending storms have brought positive effects as well, like full blooms of wildflowers. NTD's Jeremy Sandberg has more on the eye-catching experience.
An unusually wet winter has led to carpets of wildflowers on Southern California's hillsides. A beautiful array of orange and yellow poppies adorns the Antelope Valley Reserve.
Here in the Poppy Reserve and surrounding areas, we do have everything mixing up to make that perfect sort of concoction in the soil to bring these flowers up.
California Park Ranger Kevin Overdoin says while it's not technically a super bloom, what's unique is the variety of flowers this year.
As serene as it looks out there, all of these flowers are battling, trying to live in this environment. They're competing with each other.
Overdoin says the amount of rain this year is what allowed for a wider variety this season.
And it is exciting and really neat to witness.
First-time visitors were filled with awe by the scene on Thursday.
Looks like when you drive far, it's like an orange patch full of poppy flowers, so that's beautiful.
It was extremely beautiful. I mean, it's really a great experience.
We decided to see the full bloom of poppy seeds. It's amazing.
Others try to capture it on camera every season.
So the years that they come, it's like, gotta get out here and get some pictures.
It's a magnificent view, really. And I came almost each year when the poppy blooming.
Regardless the reason for taking the trip, spectators agreed it was time well spent. Jeremy Sandberg, NTD News.
We'll check in now with NTD's Carlos Reyes for today's Sports Roundup, and we also hear from NBA fans on the ground in San Francisco.
Thanks, Bill. This is your California Sports Roundup. We have some exciting scores to cover today. I'm Carlos Reyes. Stephen Curry scored a game-high 36 points, and Golden State got back into the Western Conference first-round playoff series against Sacramento with a win in San Francisco. NTD's Tyler Castillo heard from fans at the Chase Center last night. Let's take a look.
Tyler Castillo here at San Francisco, where Game 3 of the first-round series is taking place.
Just came out to watch the Dubs win.
What do you think the series will be?
I think Warriors in 6. Yeah, we're going to win the next 4 games.
David students, we've come a long way to watch this. It's Game 3, baby. Tell me about it, Will.
I respect the Warriors. You guys were a great franchise. A lot of success. I love it. But I'm gonna be honest, the dynasty's over, okay? And it ends this series.
I think the Warriors can meet any situation that they come up against. They got a young team. You know, we had problems playing away from home, but we got them, man. We gonna get them tonight without Draymond.
I want to go all the way to 7. I want us to go to 7.
Much love, though, to everyone in California, but at the same time, you guys are done for. It's over. Much love.
If you got money on the Warriors, you're done for.
I'm here with Big Bird.
And Dino. Yeah, they were on the game last year 3 years ago with Chris Mullen. Sat next to Mitch Richmond and Tim Hardaway. and the security guards shut us down today.
We're excited to see this. We never seen Northern California go against each other like this. It's exciting.
How do you feel about the Draymond suspension?
I don't think he should have been suspended. There was like some ankle grabbing going on, and like slow motion makes the things like look a bit worse. I would like to rescind this, get him back in the game tonight.
Key player for the Kings.
Definitely Fox and Sabonis. They're my top two players. I'm wearing a Sabonis jersey right now.
It's been a long time, 17 years. That's my lifetime.
The Warriors' Kevon Looney pulled down 20 rebounds and set a postseason career high with 9 assists. Andrew Wiggins finished with 20 points for the Warriors, who trailed 2-1 heading into a game in San Francisco on Sunday. De'Aaron Fox had 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 9 assists to pace the Kings. Domantas Sabonis tallied 15 points and 16 rebounds, while Harrison Barnes chipped in 17 points. Warriors 114, Kings 97. The Warriors and Kings' next playoff game is Sunday, April 23rd in San Francisco. Rookie James Outman clubbed a tie-breaking grand slam in the 9th inning, his second homer of the night, and the Los Angeles Dodgers cooled off the host Chicago Cubs with a 6-2 victory on Thursday night. Outman also homered in the third, 1 inning after Max Muncy's 8th home run of the season for Los Angeles. David Peralta and Miguel Vargas each had 2 hits for the Dodgers, who got 3+ innings of 2-run, 5-hit ball from starter Michael Grove before he left with a right groin strain. Cody Bellinger homered for Chicago, which had won 4 straight and 10 of the previous 13, and was leading the National League with an average of a little over 5 runs. After scheduled Cubs starter Jameson Taillon was placed on the 15-day injury list due to a left groin strain, Javier Assad was called up from AAA Iowa. Assad allowed 2 solo homers, 1 other hit, and 2 walks in 3 innings. Trent Grisham drove in 4 runs with a pair of doubles, and Xander Bogaerts and Matt Carpenter homered as visiting San Diego defeated Arizona. The Padres' Fernando Tatis Jr. went 0 for 5 with a pair of strikeouts in his return from an 80-game PED suspension. It was Tatis' first major league game since the end of the 2021 season. Grisham's second double off Kyle Nelson snapped a 5-5 tie in the top of the 6th. Brett Honeywell worked 2 scoreless innings for the win, and Josh Hader earned his 6th save. Padres 7, Diamondbacks 5. That is it for today's sports. Thank you for watching. I'm Carlos Reyes.
That's all we have for you tonight, and would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday right here at 8:30 p.m. Also, please make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage, and you can find that easily at ntd.com/California-Today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. And if you could, we always love to hear from you. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, and that's california.today@ntd.com. I'm Bill Thomas, and for all of us here in the newsroom, have a great weekend.